Good morning. It's Friday, March 14th. Happy Pi Day 3.142. So, I'm Philip Streible, Chief Market Strategist at Blue Line Futures. And if you're a math person that likes trading, a couple good books here because I'm cleaning things up in this office. Misbehavior of Markets, that's a must read here. Infinite Powers, another good one. New Trading Dimensions, that's another good one. If you're a system trader, this is a really good one. New Concepts in Technical Trading Systems. And if you're just a complete degenerate, you just go with Fear and Loathing and read that instead. So looking at these markets here, one thing I told you I do is that I look at the futures performance leaders. Yesterday, the VIX, and what happened was U.S. equities, they really sold off. They took out Tuesday's lows, and because of that, we saw the VIX jump up about 4%. Wheat was another performance leader here, as well as sugar and silver. The thing about sugar and silver is that I monitor a lot of different technical trading systems here, whether it's something simple as far as the 50-day crossing over the 200, whether it's a 7-day average directional indicator or a 10 and 8-day moving average crossover, things like that. Just a lot of different types of systems. Those two both triggered buys. Not a recommendation to the public. I'm just telling you it's for observational purposes only. So I had 3 questions I asked myself yesterday, and I told you guys that's generally what I do on a day-to-day basis. That I'll ask myself 3 different trading questions here. Are the markets bottoming? Well, maybe it's a little bit too early to tell. We are up a little bit here today. As far as U.S. equities are concerned, are we on the way to $3,000 in gold? Well, we can cross that question off here because we hit $3,000 overnight, and as a breakout confirmed in the silver market, and we saw that here yesterday. We're seeing a continuation of the upside in the silver market in the overnight session. So gold futures, they broke through $3,000. So is that it? Did you miss it? Is it all over? Are we not going any higher here? Because I'll have a lot of people go, well, it's too high. Well, the market was probably too low when it started selling off initially, and it went another 500 points lower. So, you look at this thing here as far as the gold market, and it breaks through $3,000 an ounce for the first time. Central bank buying, economic uncertainty. President Trump, his trade policies are really what's driving this market right now. We're seeing central banks continue to diversify away from the US dollar, and the dollar index under pressure again in the overnight session has really sold off here since President Trump really took office here. So you got China, Poland, India, Turkey. They are some of the largest buyers in that gold market. So look at an inflation adjusted peak, probably $3,500, maybe even higher. I don't even know. Gonna have to go back to the math books, and I'm sure a lot of people will text me and tell me what their thoughts are as far as what the inflation adjusted peak is. So looking at some key events here today, we're gonna have the University of Michigan, the consumer sentiment, also the inflation expectations. Now let's look at a few things here. As far as when the markets are concerned, I was on a couple television shows here yesterday, and something to note is that a lot of times when I'm on these impromptu TV stations, whether it's CNN, MSNBC, Fox Business, all of them, and I start really getting farther out there as far as stretched as different appearances here, a lot of times that does mark a top in the market. So not telling you that it is a top, I'm just telling you that a lot of times we do see a setback when that occurs here. You get this peak hysteria going on in these markets here. So looking at these markets as far as some key technical levels, you look at the gold market here. The last trading right around $3,007, up about 15 bucks. High in the overnight session 30.17, low 29.94. So that was really the start of the session in the overnight. Your first resistance point back at that 30.15 to 17 level. Above that's going to be about 30.37. So you look at a trend line, comes up to about that 30-34 area, and I was just texting with one of my coworkers. He was asking, was that the top in the gold market? And believe it or not, I dreamed last night that we hit 30-34 and corrected down to 28 or 29.85. So, when you eat, sleep, and breathe these markets here, you tend to dream about it as well. So above that, it's going to be 30.50 and then 30.73. On the downside, I think that 29.85 to 78 is going to be your key level of support. You do have the gold silver ratio sitting at about 86 to 1. So silver picking up a little bit of steam against the gold market. Gold up about 0.5%. Something to note as far as performance leaders yesterday, you did have that gold market breakout to the upside. And as it gets higher, obviously it takes a bigger move in order for it to make the percentage gain to become a performance leader. So we're up $16, and that's only 0.5%. We're silver up 40 cents. That's about 1.2% right now. So your critical levels in the silver market, and looking at like pivot points and things like that, 34.14 is going to be your pivot point. Market trading at 34.70. So realistically, when you come to support and resistance, one of the algorithmic programs that I'm running here says that the potential downside about 34.14, potential upside 35.03. So we fell short of the 35 mark with 34.85 as the high in the overnight session, and the low of the overnight session is 34.42.5. So these markets, it's Friday, and I think a lot of people are going to book some of the gains in the metals market. So I wouldn't be surprised to see if markets test these unchanged levels, potentially go slightly negative on the market here because of the fact that it's Friday. And also, I do believe that there's a rotation going on. A lot of the calls that I receive are people coming out of some of the metals, booking some gains, and looking to enter into the U.S. equity markets. Right or wrong, it's just what they're doing here. And one of the benefits that I get is I get to see hundreds, if not thousands of people trade, because remember, we are a futures and commodity trading company here. So we've got everything from self-directed on up to full service to manage to a CTA program where we'll fully trade the account for you on everything. So looking at some other things here and some other key things, the ETF flows on gold and silver. So exchange traded funds, they added about 125,000 ounces of gold to the holdings in yesterday's session. So what does that do? That brings the year-to-date net total of ETF holdings on the gold market up to 4.3%. So it's continuing to go up. What's happening in the silver market? Well, the ETFs, they cut about 1.13 million troy ounces of silver from their holdings in yesterday's session. What are they doing? They're booking some gains in that silver market. So what does it mean? It doesn't really mean anything. You're just seeing people really stick with the gold market as far as that's the one, that's the leader that they're staying in, and they are looking at those higher up levels. Silver, remember, is going to be your beta mover, your delta mover, and changers. So stock market overnight up about 0.8%. As far as the S&P 500, you got the NASDAQ up about 1%. So stocks are getting some kind of reprieve as the risks of the U.S. shutdown as far as the government, it's starting to ease here. So also China coming out, and they're unveiling that they are looking to potentially put some more stimulus in the market here to help boost consumer demand. So the overnight price action, again, you got these the U.S. equity markets up a little bit here. So it's that Congress passing this stopgap funding bill. Looking at the crude oil market, you did have a Ukrainian drone attack hit one of Russia's largest refineries here. So you got a fire there, but the fire can be put out, things like that. But you do have the the crude oil futures up a little bit here. And I really do believe that we are going to retest, that $70 level at some point in the future here. So we're going to want to keep an eye on that. Natural gas futures, a lot of people took shorts on, stops over that recent contract high up at that 490 level, continuing to trail stops lower, and if not, taking some of those gains there right around that $4 level or just a little bit lower than that. So going to be a quick day here today in the trading markets here. I think that a lot of the action is going to take place around the first up until about 10:30 in the morning Central Time. And then after that, I think things will die off and you'll see some volatility as things pick up in the U.S. equity markets. You got any questions, futures option trading, give us a call here. Go to bluelinefutures.com. Be sure to register for a free 2-week trial of the Metals Edge. Also, we're going to be sending out a chart pack as far as the metals, as far as long-term, where we see a lot of these prices going here. So be sure to get that as well. Send an email to info@bluelinefutures.com and we'll send you out that chart pack as well. Got any questions? Again, reach out to us. And remember that futures and option trading, it does involve risk of loss. May not be suitable to all investors. Good luck, good trading.